welcome to the third episode of the Alt Pulse podcast.
I'm Rob.
And I'm Laura, and we're here to talk to you about our experiences with music in the rock, alternative and metal scene.
And we have a lot of topics to cover on this episode, so I think we should dive straight in, right?
Yeah, there's a lot of stuff to cover today, so just sit back, relax and strap yourself in.
And take in our wonderful voices.
Yes.
So first off, Beb, the obvious thing that's happened this week, Download announcement.
Yes.
Their lineup.
Yes.
Majority of their lineup, I would say, all three of their headliners. If you want to see our live reaction to that, then please check out the video in the description below. But I think overall we're going to keep it brief because we did kind of say our thoughts within that video itself. But I'm pretty satisfied with it.
Yeah, I'm really happy. I know that we said in the reaction video that we'd sort of give you an update as to what our plans are in terms of, you know, are we going to go for the Green Day day? Are we going to go more than the Green Day day? I think we're still not 100% sure, but we've sat on it a bit more, so...
We have sat on it a bit more. I want to do at least the Friday.
Yeah.
Which is the day Green Day are headlining.
Yeah.
I wasn't expecting the undercard particularly to be that good. So they continue to surprise and thrill and entertain me.
Yes, for sure. As we say, we're going to keep this particular topic brief because you can just check out our own reaction, but I'm sure that there will be more updates to come in future podcasts and videos about what we're going to do for Download.
Exactly. Now, moving on from one festival to another, 2000 Trees, obviously, in the last podcast, we made our predictions.
We did.
As to who was going to be there. And it's safe to say I had an absolute stinker.
Yeah, I think in terms of the notes that we wrote down, I only got like 2 names on there. I think the only one that I actually spoke about on the podcast that was on the lineup was Employed to Serve. That was the only one that we actually said in the podcast that turned out to be correct.
And your other prediction was Harriet, which you did get right.
We didn't mention that on the podcast.
To be fair...
I wrote it down.
To be fair, we wrote down Kid Capici as well, who are also there.
We did, because I was going to mention the fact that Kid Capici are supporting Yumi at 6 on their final UK shows early in next year, so... I figured that they might be at a festival as well. But
are you going to that particular one?
Yeah, I'll be going to the final ever Yumi at 6 show ever.
Is that with Kid Capici?
It's with Kid Capici and the Excerpts, I believe, are also supporting.
So we'll go through the actual lineup very quickly.
Yes, because we haven't actually spoken about this lineup in full, but I guess a summary of how we sort of feel on this lineup is that it's mainly the undercard at the moment that's exciting us a little bit more than the headliners and some of the labelled bands.
Should we just go through it band by band?
Yeah.
So on the Thursday, which traditionally is actually the first main day of the festival, unlike Download and Bloodstock and other festivals where the first proper day is the Friday, Trees actually starts on the Thursday and carries over to Saturday.
Yes, but we do have a 4-day ticket because they do have bands playing on the Wednesday, but none have been revealed yet.
Not yet, no. But anyway, Thursday we have we have co-headliners.
Yes, we should point out that this year at Trees they've technically got 5 headliners. On the Thursday and the Friday there's going to be 2 co-headliners on the main stage, and then the Saturday is just a sole headliner of the festival that will close the whole thing.
So Thursday, I guess it's the headliner that you're the most infused about, really. So I'll let you talk about this one.
So on the Thursday we have Kneecap, which neither of us have seen before.
I mean, all I know about them is that there was a documentary made about them recently. They're an Irish political hip-hop act. I've heard 1 or 2 of their songs in the car.
Yeah, we've started our sort of
homework. What we basically do before every festival is we make a gigantic playlist full of... all the bands that we're interested in seeing.
Yeah.
And I've been mainly focusing on Bloodstock, which we'll get to later.
Yeah.
I haven't really touched much of the Trees playlist, but I've heard a couple of Kneecap tunes and I think, maybe.
Yeah.
Maybe. I'm not fully convinced yet. I mean, I'll probably just need to do a bigger deep dive on them. I'm sure some people who listen to this will gladly tell me about them and how great they are.
For sure.
Anyway, Paris.
But yeah, Paris are the other co-headliner on the Thursday, and I am very, very excited.
You love a bit of Paris.
I have been a fan of Paris since, I want to say 2015 was when I first heard St. Patrick on the radio back in them days when you actually listened to the radio, but like.
When they used to play stuff that was actually good. You know?
Yeah, well, it was on the Radio 1 Rock Show, and I can't remember where I was going.
Oh, fair play.
Yeah.
Good old DPC.
Yeah. He played St. Patrick on Radio 1, and that was my first exposure to them. Fell in love with them.
Yeah. Did you ever think that they would headline?
No. This is their... we also should point out, fair play to Trees, because a lot of these bands have never had the opportunity to headline a festival before. So for them to give them the opportunity at Trees is really cool. Like Paris, I've only ever seen them once, and that was at Slam Dunk, and they weren't headlining. They were on the main stage at Slam Dunk, but they weren't headlining the whole thing. I've unfortunately never seen Paris in like the early days when they started touring in the UK, so there's probably a few songs in their discography that I'm never going to hear live, but best believe that on that Thursday I will be as close to the barrier as I can be for Paris.
So if you got, I mean, for those that don't actually know Paris, how would you describe them sonically?
So they've definitely evolved musically since I first got into them. I would say that they started out kind of like electro rock type deals, so they had like the heavy riffy guitars with some synths, but you know, as their project has evolved, because it's kind of become more of a Lynn Gunn project than a whole band project.
Like a solo moniker type
yeah,
thing.
It's a long story to get into, but basically it's kind of now evolved into Lynn Gunn doing a lot of the visuals, and she does a lot of the writing anyway. Paris, they're a little bit more electro-pop now, I would say. Definitely the jump between album 1 and album 4, if you was to listen to it, could be a little bit of a steep jump if you haven't actually listened to their whole discography history. But yeah, overall, I think, needless to say, Paris are the headliner that I'm probably looking forward to the most.
Right, well, excellent. So I can tell you're very, very enthused about that.
Oh, yeah.
Moving on to the Friday, we have Taking Back Sunday and Coheed and Cambria.
Yeah.
Now, Taking Back Sunday is a name that I have constantly heard throughout the years, mainly in kind of slam dunky circles, I think it's fair to say.
Sure.
You know, that kind of pop-punk crowd.
Yeah.
I've never checked them out myself.
Nope, neither have I.
My mate Meg has already given me 2 albums that she recommends I listen to.
Yeah.
I haven't heard a single note of their work yet, so I don't know if they're
can't really comment
on them.
Yeah.
But Coheed and Cambria, I am well aware actually of a lot of their work. I mean, I really need to do like a proper deep dive on Coheed, but
yeah, same.
I find their career pretty fascinating, you know.
Yeah, it's a whole big concept over little concepts.
So they're I guess what the best way to describe them, they're kind of a progressive post-hardcore sort of pop. There's an amalgamation of a lot of genres, right?
Yeah, for sure.
But the USP with Coheed is that their whole discography is based around like a narrative, which started from like the very first album, and then has continued pretty much to this day.
Yeah.
Except for the one song they did with Rick Springfield during lockdown, which was a sequel to his song Jesse's Girl.
Oh,
I'm not making this up, by the way. This is a genuine thing. They and Rick Springfield did a sequel to Rick Springfield's 1970s hit Jesse's Girl during lockdown, and it is absolutely amazing. It was one of my favourite songs during lockdown.
Yeah.
I very much doubt they're going to be playing that though.
Probably not, but we'll probably be watching Coheed. Like they're a band that kind of similar to you. I'm very aware of, but I've never been like a super fan, and I've never done a deep dive.
Were they ever on any like Guitar Heroes or Tony Hawk's or any video game soundtrack?
I don't think so. Not at least from what I can remember, but nonetheless, I think that they're certainly a headliner that a lot of our group are looking forward to seeing as well. And yeah,
I would say they're one of the most metal bands on the.
In terms of the headliners, absolutely.
Oh, apparently Coheed did a song for Arkham City.
Oh, that must be on like the album that they did separate to the game, because Panic at the Disco did one as well.
Shout out to Video Game Soundtracks Wiki. So
for helping us get this source of information.
They're on Madden. They're on Rock Band from 2007.
Oh, okay. I didn't play. I was more of a Guitar Hero kind of
NHL 09. Tony Hawk Shred. I knew they'd be on a Tony Hawk.
Yeah, well, that wasn't the game that I grew up with, so.
I'd say their biggest hit is Welcome Home, right? I feel like everyone,
Yeah.
if you ever tuned into Kerrang or Scuzz in the mid-2000s, you probably know that song.
For sure.
And lastly, on the Saturday, we have Alexis on Fire.
Yeah, closing out the entire festival.
I guess, at this point, they've had a very long career. They're a pretty well-established, well-respected post-hardcore act,
For sure.
I know very little about them, however, apart from the last album they released.
Yes, we did listen
in
to
2022, which ended up making my top 10 albums of the year, I believe.
Yeah, I can't remember where it finished in mine, but it definitely was in the top 50.
Called Otherness. It's a very, very good record. I've heard from a lot of people, though, it's very different to their usual style.
So I wouldn't be surprised if there's a big mix of sort of their discography in their headline set. I've not really done a full deep dive on them yet, so...
Yeah. Well, that album apparently won the Juno Award for Best Rock Album of the Year.
Oh.
So they must be doing something right.
Yeah, so that's the headliners for Trees. Let us know, obviously, what you think to all of the bands that we discuss in the comments. So now, as we work our way down the poster, we're going to talk about sort of the quote-unquote logoed bands. So these are all the bands that have got their sort of logo imagery type thing on the poster. And it'd probably be safe to assume that these guys that are on the logoed side of things are either going to be headlining like The Cave or The Axiom. Obviously, we don't know that yet for sure because we don't have any stage breakdowns yet. All we know for sure is the headliners, and they're on the main stage, obviously. So take it with a pinch of salt with these, but I guess from here we could make some predictions as to where they will be. But yeah.
Well, first off, we've got Million Dead. Now, if you don't know Million Dead, this is actually Frank Turner's hardcore punk. I get a post-hardcore punk.
I would say post-hardcore.
We listened to a bit of them in the car, didn't we?
We did a few days ago.
I mean, I'd never heard of them. I mean, I'd heard the name, obviously, because I'm familiar with Frank Turner's body work, but I'd never actually given them a proper listen. This is the thing about this lineup. There's a lot of bands where there's a fair bit of gaps in my knowledge,
Yeah, and that's obviously the magic of Trees is that, we're going to do our deep dive over the next few months leading up to the festival, and there's going to be some hidden gems on here that we've never heard of.
But I can tell you for a fact, Million Dead sound really, really cool. I like it a lot better than Frank's solo material, if I'm being honest, which is, I respect the man. I respect what he does. Folk punk is kind of... I'm a bit particular about,
Yeah.
But whereas this, I'm all over.
So I wouldn't be surprised if, like, Million Dead are one of the Axiom headliners, for example, or even just really high up on main stage. As I say, we're not really sure where they're going to be yet because they haven't got the stage splits out.
Well, I wouldn't be surprised if Million Dead is another one of Frank's kind of play everywhere at Trees schemes that he does every year. They'll end up playing in, like, the park, the car park and the campsite.
In the campsite. Who knows?
Right, then we have Rory.
Yes.
Now, I think you're probably more qualified to talk about Rory than me.
I'd say only by a slight bit more qualified because I'm more aware of their name and I've listened to a little bit of their stuff because they actually played Slam Dunk this year.
They did, yeah.
So I had a little listen to their stuff leading up and I thought, fair play, there's some bangers on here, It's definitely not going to be to everybody's taste, I would say.
I feel like, from what I heard in the run-up to Slam Dunk this year, it was very much the pop side of modern pop punk.
Yeah. I completely
And also,
agree.
I believe that Rory, before becoming a pop punk artist, they dipped into other genres.
They did, yeah.
Beforehand.
So this is like their first big break, really.
Yeah.
But fair play to them. Like I say, they're grafters, and I appreciate grafters no matter what genre they are or whatever. But I know that they are going to be touring in 2025, and I know that they've got Lake Malice and As December Falls supporting them. So again, As December Falls are an excellent band for me to shout out.
To be fair, that does sound like a bit of you.
It does, but I don't think I can make the Rock City show, sadly.
Blast.
But yeah, I'll probably give Rory a shot. I've heard that they're pretty good live.
Right. Kid Capici next, who we've already kind of talked about already on this podcast. But I guess that kind of, if you're into your sort of Bob Villainy, conscious punk rock, I guess.
Yeah, they
very,
are
very, very British. You know?
Yeah, I know that leading up to, obviously, as I said earlier, they're supporting Yumi at 6. I know that the girls are not a fan of Kid Kapichi, but it's not really their taste. So I can completely understand that.
Hi, Casey and Jade.
They're just going to get constant mentions on this.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, it's not really their taste, which fair play. But I will be seeing Kid Kapichi nonetheless.
I think that... Did they release an album this year? Because I recall quite liking it.
I believe they did.
More than the one they released before, the one with the
There Goes the Neighbourhood.
Yeah, There Goes the Neighbourhood I thought was good. I thought it was better than the first one, which had the trophy on the front cover.
Yes.
I can't remember the name
Yeah,
of it.
I mean, again, we're not like hardcore fans,
No,
but we have listened to their stuff.
Again, reiterating, there's plenty of bands in here with where I have massive gaps in my knowledge of
which we're probably going to be covering a few of them right now, because we're going to skim through a few of these names.
Yeah. Now, Fiddler I know very, very little about. I believe they're kind of pop American skate pop punk type deal.
I don't know. I've not listened to a note of them.
So I don't know if you're into that sort of stuff. I mean, I'll probably check out more of them. Imminence, I do know a fair bit about because they played Download this year.
They did, and I didn't actually remember.
We didn't see them, to be fair, but
I didn't actually remember until you mentioned it in the car the other day, because again we were listening to our Trees playlist. But
essentially, do you like metalcore but find it's missing baroque instrumentation
and strings?
Then
Imminence is for you.
Yes, their gimmick, if you like, is it's metalcore, but they have violins and stuff.
I'm keen to listen to a bit more of them as we do more homework.
Sure. La Dispute played Slam Dunk this year. However, I'm not a fan of them.
No, they're not really my cup of tea.
They're kind of... It's weird, I should like them. They're a bit post-hardcore, but it's the kind of vocal... a band quite often for me lives and dies by the vocal choices, I guess.
Yeah, which we can discuss more as we talk about another band on this poster.
Bambi Fug I've got no interest in whatsoever.
No, I mean, I'll probably give you a sneak preview because Bambi Fug are actually supporting Baby Metal when I go and see them in May. So the bill there is like Bambi Fug, Poppy and Baby Metal. So... Yeah, Bambi Fug, correct me if I'm wrong, but they were the ones who represented Ireland at Eurovision, right?
Oh, of course, that's where they're from.
Yeah, so I'm not going to lie, they absolutely killed it at Eurovision. They were really cool.
Not my cup of tea.
Yeah, well, it's fine, it's not everybody's taste, but I thought that performance at Eurovision was great.
The beauty of Trees is it's very... This year in particular, they've been very diverse.
Yeah, for sure.
With their genres and stuff. Stick to Your Guns. I love a bit of Stick to Your Guns.
I have been meaning to see this band for so long, and I am adamant that I will finally watch them at Trees this year. Well, next year.
Yeah. Could have seen them at Slam Dunk with me this year, Bev. That's all I'm saying.
I can't remember what was the clash, but there was a clash. And
I saw them with Meg. That was terrific. Nearly lost my hat in the circle pit for that one. I seem to remember. They're great. I mean,
I can't wait.
Just if you love American hardcore, then that's for you really. Gel,
yes,
who were due to play Download I believe this year but dropped out.
Yeah, they were one of the few bands that dropped out because of the whole Barclaycard thing, which we won't jump into.
No, we can say that now that's the reason why so many bands dropped out.
Yeah.
So I mean, I've heard a bit of their stuff. I dig it.
I really wanted to see them at Download, so I am absolutely going to be seeing them at 2000 Trees.
Yeah. It's great that that you still have they've still made room for sort of hardcore bands, I guess, on this bill.
Well, obviously the Cave is well known now. I think.
So we think
a lot of hardcore.
Yeah. So we think they're going to play the Cave.
Yeah, I think there'll be a Cave act for sure.
Employed to Serve.
Yes.
Now we've got an interesting history with this band, I guess.
Well, I don't know about your history, but for me, the first time I saw Employed to Serve was in Bodega in Nottingham, if anyone knows how small that venue is. And that was in 2017 when they supported Milk Teeth.
R.I.P. Milk Teeth.
R.I.P. Milk Teeth.
We have to say it every time.
And yeah, they were really, really cool. Like, just at that point, I remember just their whole presence in that small room was, at that point, really good. And from then, I didn't see them for 6 years live. I don't know why, I just didn't get round to them. The next time I saw them was when they supported Gojira at the Motor Point in Nottingham.
That was an amazing gig. That was probably, in terms of like a set list for Gojira, that's probably one of the best set lists I've ever seen.
Yeah.
But I am going to refrain from talking anymore about it because I will be digressing like mad. But you've met Justine.
I've met Justine and Sammy.
Yeah.
I met them at Bloodstock last year because they did a signing at the signing tent, and I took my sort of CD booklet for Conquering, which is a great album, by the way. And yeah, they're absolutely sound. And again, they're grafters. I'm going to keep using that term.
What did you talk about?
I think I did speak about the Bodega gig. I spoke about Milk Teeth. We spoke about Puppy as well because I was wearing a Puppy hat, and Justine is a fan of Puppy.
Of course, yeah.
But yeah, Employed to Serve, brilliant band. Again, as I keep coining this term, they are grafters. They've been working really, really hard ever since their sort of birth, if you like.
Yeah.
And yeah, hopefully we're going to be having a new album from them next year. I know that they were teasing it a while ago, so it's good to see them on festival bills, hopefully sort of supporting the new album if it comes out next year, of course.
Sure.
But yeah, well, where's your interesting history with them?
Well, just the fact it took me a while to get into them. It wasn't until I saw them live that I was like, okay, yeah, I kind of get these guys now. Which was the aforementioned Gojira show at the point.
So you didn't see them when they supported Milk Teeth?
Oh no!
Oh, okay.
That was, I can't remember who supported them when I last saw Milk Teeth, but I mean, again, they're much more your cup of tea than my cup of tea.
Yeah.
And I'm talking earlier about a band living and dying by the vocals. And sorry, I really like Justine. I respect the hell out of her. It can be a bit shrill to me, that kind of high. Same with Brian Garris from Not Loose, right? I have problems with that as well.
Yeah.
But there's no denying they've got some great tunes. Party's Over, Mark of the Grave.
Yeah.
They're all great,
Yeah.
And they're also, I mean, from what I've heard from so many people, they are great people.
Yeah.
And Church Road is a fantastic label, which is the label they run.
Yeah, they do run that. And in terms of where I think Employed to Serve will be, I think they'll be on the main stage myself.
I can see that.
Yeah, I think they could be.
I can see him headlining the Cave as well.
That could also be a possibility. And I tell you what, another band on here, which is next in line, that I think could also potentially headline the Cave, or even the Axiom if I want to be greedy.
If you want to be greedy.
If I wanted to be greedy. And it's Harriet. Harriet, like, spoiler alert for our sort of end of year podcast. But Harriet of this year released their debut record after so many, they've released a couple of EPs and I've been really a fan of them since, 2-3 years ago, I would say.
It's been a long time coming.
It's been a long time coming, that album, and it didn't disappoint. So, spoiler alert, it's pretty high on my album of the year list. And we're going to be seeing Harriet this week, actually, at the time of recording, which we'll talk about later. But yeah, Harriet, I think, could definitely headline the Cave at Trees. I could even see them on Main, to be fair, as well. Maybe just have like a Femme Power Day on Main.
Yeah, that'd be great. Harriet, I mean, I love a bit of Harriet.
Again, they're another band, though, for you that it took a while for you to get into.
Again, like Employed to Serve, it took me a while to get into them. Yeah, it's so noisy and so grimy and
sludgy. Yeah.
Fucking I'm fully expecting Debbie to do that on Friday when we see Fit for an Autopsy.
For sure. Because it's when we see Fit for an Autopsy, which again we'll discuss a little bit more later. It's actually the first show on the UK segment of the tour.
Sure. So. No, but their album is really, really terrific. I think Debbie is a great person as well.
Amazing guitarist.
Our friend John interviewed her for his podcast.
Yeah.
And she just came across like so humble and great,
Yeah.
And I mean, I've already seen them. I think this will be my third time seeing them on Friday.
On Friday I think it'll be the fourth time for me. Because I saw them at my very first 2000 Trees as well.
But yeah, always great live. If you've seen our download vlog, you'll know how
and for anyone who actually was at that show at Trees a couple years ago, it was like first thing in the morning in the Cave, and the bass was rumbling.
Oh yeah,
in that
no,
cave.
I heard about this. This was actually before I kind of properly got into
Yeah,
it.
I went to see them with a few people in our group.
That's right.
And that was a way to wake up, let me tell you.
Yeah.
So yeah, we go on to like the last row of sort of the logo bands. So we start off with DZ Death Rays.
Yep.
I've heard a little bit of their stuff. Again, I can't really talk too much about them.
I guess if you're into bands like not the 1975, Death from Above 1974.
Yeah.
I always get this noise doing like very minimalist, distorted bass kind of indie rock type thing. I believe that's what the sort of style they are.
But again, you know, we're sort of going to be discovering.
Again, I'm very much kind of sort of ascertaining very small synapses in my head as to what genre some of these bands are.
Yeah, but a band that I think I can talk a little bit more about, I guess, is Lake Malice.
Ah, yeah.
They're also here at Trees. I've seen Lake Malice twice, actually. The first time I saw them was supporting Bloodywood, which is
That's right.
so bizarre. We saw them at our sort of local venue, I guess, when Bloodywood did like a small tour of the UK. And yeah, they were really good, actually.
Yeah, they were
They're
fun.
very much up my alley, because the second time I saw them was when they supported Vukovi at the Crawford Arms in Milton Keynes, and they pretty much said that Vukovi were one of the reasons that they started writing music, and you can kind of tell when you listen to their EP.
It's very bouncy, dancey kind of metal.
Dancey,
kind of metal, you know.
Yeah. So again, it's not everybody's cup of tea, but
It'll go down. I think it'll go down
well. I think again they could definitely be a band that are either on the Cave. I could even see them at the Forest. Actually, I think that could go down really well.
So yeah, Grade 2 is the
Yes.
penultimate big name, quote unquote,
Yeah.
I guess, on the poster. Again, never heard of them before picking up
No.
this playlist, but yeah, from what I've heard, it's very British. It's very punky. Therefore, I'll probably like it.
Yeah, there's a lot of people in our circle of friends that are very much looking forward to seeing Grade 2, particularly Brad, I believe, was really excited when he saw their name.
To be fair, though, right, with Brad, if anything's remotely hardcore punk, he's in.
He's all in.
He's all in. Shout out, Brad. How you doing, mate? And finally, last name on the poster, in terms of the big logo names, Civic, who you didn't actually remember this, but they were due to play 2000 Trees this year.
Yeah, I didn't remember that.
And I guess the best way I can describe them, I want to say they're Australian as well. So
keeping with the theme of booking Australian bands.
I guess from what I've heard, Stooges, Australian Stooges.
Oh, okay.
That kind of garagey punk
Right.
vibe, you know. So that sounds up my alley as well. Yeah, we'll rattle through a couple more names on the lower.
Yeah, I guess we'll just talk about the ones that we can talk about, because we will be here all day if we're like, I don't know what they sound like, but I guess the first name that really excited me on the lower end of the scale in terms of the names was Catbite.
Yes. If you like the Interrupters, you will love a bit of Catbite.
Yeah, Catbite, Interrupters vibes, some No Doubt vibes in there as well.
Yeah.
They do some really cool like ska punk covers of like modern songs as well.
Yeah.
So I'm really excited to see them.
That's just going to be fun, isn't it?
Yeah, for sure.
Chastity, who it's I guess it's kind of a solo moniker. It's a sort of dream pop, shoegazy, indie rock kind of project. So obviously I'll be all over that. Clobber, another very, very English sort of hardcore punk type act, so I'll probably see them. Grief Ritual, did we see Grief Ritual?
I want to say we've seen Grief Ritual before, because they're definitely a name that ring a bell. So if we have seen them before, then I can't wait to see them again.
Yeah, bludgeoningly, I can't even.
You
is
can't
that
even say the word.
Bludgeoningly heavy.
Yeah.
I think is the vibe.
Yeah, I want to say that we did see them before.
Hidden Mothers as well, who are on Church Road, I believe.
Yeah, I think they are.
I've heard a bit of them. I think they're right up my alley. They kind of have that Black Peaks sort of heavier post-hardcore thing going for them, I believe. So I'll probably see them.
Another name that really jumped out for me at the bottom of this poster was Low Lives. Yeah, we've listened to their album that came out this year, and it's still actually pretty much held up in my sort of top.
I thought it was really good.
Yeah.
I just love that so many bands are leaning on the kind of 90s alt rock thing, you know.
Yeah.
And Low Lives is no exception. Obviously, this project was born out of The Defiled. So I believe it's the front man of The Defiled going for a kind of very different approach.
Yeah.
I remember one of the first times I heard of The Defiled, they were covering Nirvana at Sonosphere. So it makes sense why he'd want to move towards a 90s alternative thing with this project. But I know a guy, Mark, from the old Discord days, who's really big into them. They were at Download this year. I believe they clashed with someone.
I can't remember who they clashed with.
They either clashed with someone or dropped out. I can't remember.
Yeah.
But,
so there's a couple more names on here that I'd like to talk about. The first one is Queen Cult. We listened to like 2 of their songs when we was doing just a random sort of YouTube sort of sporadic look at the lineup.
Let's see who's on Trees next year.
I quite liked Queen Cult. I hate the term female fronted, but sometimes you do need to do that to sort of describe what you're saying. But yeah, they were pretty much that, with some nice sort of not radio rock vibe, but you know what I mean.
Punky,
like,
I thought.
Yeah.
Bit punky.
Yeah.
You know, speaking of bit punky, Out of Love, who another British hardcore act, but one I believe where I've met one of the members.
Really?
Well, when we saw Angel Dust earlier this year, I believe one of the guys from Out of Love was there, and I ended up chatting to him for a fair bit. So, yeah, if you're out there, mate, can't wait to see your band.
Yeah. So
Oversize as well, who are proper Rob vibes, very shoegazy. If you're into Split Chain or Heavenwood or Teenage Wrist, you will love those guys.
Yeah, I guess the last band I want to sort of talk about before we move on is Terminal Sleep. I didn't actually know who they were until obviously we started listening to the playlist and stuff like that. But I heard one song and I was all in.
Very heavy.
Very heavy. Again, female fronted.
Australian metal. I believe they're Australian as well. Metalcore. So, I mean, I guess what we're trying to say in a roundabout way, it's a very diverse selection of bands this year. If I'm being honest, I really want a few more names that I'm familiar with.
Yeah, I think,
which I'm sure there will be. There's still plenty of announcements
absolutely,
to come,
and obviously we still need to do our full deep dive, so there's probably some bands that you guys really love that we haven't spoken about in this brief section. But yeah, obviously there's going to be more names to be added. We don't know who's playing on the Wednesday yet as well, which really does make a difference.
Honestly, like I was so
I don't think they're going to be there.
Honestly, I was so gutted when it wasn't Turnstile.
Yeah.
I knew it wouldn't. I kind of knew it wouldn't. They wouldn't get Deftones or Weezer, which we are going to talk about.
Yeah, we'll talk about that a little bit later.
Time. I want to move on actually from this to the recent Bloodstock editions.
Yes, well, when we say recent, we mean the editions that have happened since our initial reaction.
That's true.
They basically gave us like 15 more names, essentially, since we recorded that. But we're going to just obviously briefly touch upon the ones that we know of, just like we just did for 2000 Trees. So let's start off with the band who was playing before Gajira on the Sunday. Mastodon.
Oh yes.
Now I've only seen Mastodon once, and it was incredibly brief.
Well, yeah. Well, I mean, this was the day we went to Download 2022.
That's right. And Mastodon were playing on the second stage, but a lot of our group wanted to get a good spot for Maiden.
Yeah, we
saw Mastodon. Yeah, we saw Mastodon for all of about 15-20 minutes.
We basically watched a bit of them whilst queuing for the bar, and at the time they were playing. I want to say they were playing Megalodon or something like that at the time. One of their really intricate pieces from Leviathan. But I'm so stoked. I've been a Mastodon fan for, since I was at uni, pretty much. Coming up to over 10 years now. Crack the Sky is one of my all-time favourite albums. It's probably in my top 20 albums ever made. Yeah.
They're a really, really cool band.
Yeah, really great band. Can blow hot and cold live, I will admit.
Yeah, right? The set list is like they can be a bit all over the place in terms of like what they contain.
Well, not just in terms of set list, but I think they've always struggled slightly vocally.
Right.
In the vocal department, you know, Bron is the best singer they've got. I mean, you could argue Troy's a really good singer as well. But in terms of pure clean singing, Bron is like the best singer, but he's on the drums and he's playing really intricate drum parts.
Yeah,
so.
and as we know from, you know, other bands that have drummers as vocalists or backing vocalists, it can be really tricky to do.
Very tricky.
So
very tricky. But Troy is a, you know, the thing with Mastodon is they're all incredibly proficient musicians.
Yeah.
You know, they all have something to offer. It's a real supergroup of sorts without it being the traditional definition of a supergroup.
Yeah, I'm very much looking forward to seeing them properly
and
on the main stage.
Yeah, and I mean, Brent's a fantastic guitar player. Bill has got an incredible moustache, and in top of also being a great guitar player. But they pull and push all these different metal styles.
Yeah,
you know, there's a bit of there's a bit of technical stuff in there. There's like sludge metal. There's prog. There's even a bit of grindcore if you listen hard enough.
Yeah.
It's a real melting pot of all those styles.
Yeah.
I've only ever seen them fully once.
I was going to say,
obviously, I saw one song at down the window, but the one time I've seen a full set of theirs was at Sonosphere 2014, which was on the Once More Around the Sun run, which had stuff like the Motherlode. Oh. That's my only concern with a Mastodon set. As much as they're great, you know, I want the big hits in there. I want like Oblivion and Motherlode and Curl of the Burl. I don't just want, you know, the screamy technical stuff like you got off Leviathan or, you know, Remission or... Yeah. But as cool as they are, I want anthems to sing along to.
They'll probably have a good mix of everything because, as I say, they are playing before Gajira on the final day of the festival. So I think that they're going to have a good mix of the sort of intricate pieces as well as the sort of anthem pieces.
Well, who knows? I mean, it's 20 years since Leviathan came out, so they might even do an anniversary set.
Celebration set. That could
Although
be cool.
Fear Factory are already doing an anniversary set.
Yeah,
but
Hatebreed did one this year, didn't they? But
I don't know if we covered Fear Factory actually because they weren't in the initial reaction, but I'm super stoked about them.
Yeah, I think they were like one of the sort of later editions, but
you know how much we love Fear Factory from our download vlog.
For sure.
Moving on from them, this is a very, very important, special one for me.
And I'm just going to say this now because I don't know if you remember from the reaction, but you actually, well, in fact, we both kind of said we would love this band to be on the lineup.
Indeed.
And lo and behold, they were added to the lineup.
It's my boys, Famine. And these are my OG boys before Puppy.
The OG boys.
Before Puppy came along. These lads, I've known these lads for about 10 years-ish.
It'll be more than that.
More than that, maybe. I first met the lads whilst I was at uni. They are Canterbury-based. I went to University of Kent, and I saw their very first ever gig playing at the Lady Luck in Canterbury. Shout out. One of my favourite bars. I guess it's where I became a metalhead, in a sense. And came out of my shell a bit. So I have a lot of good memories of being down in Canterbury. And that band was one of them. And you want to talk about grafters. My God. They are proper grafters. They first really came to prominence by winning 2016's Metal to the Masses competition.
Yes, because they are definitely sort of a Bloodstock band, if you like.
So they won 2016's Metal to the Masses. I was at the final at the Red Lion. Is it the Red Lion? Or it might be Leo's. It's a pub in Gravesend where they do the Kent Metal to the Masses. And a whole bunch of us drove up from Canterbury to Gravesend, which is quite far, in a minibus.
Oh my gosh.
All wearing our Famine merch. So they very much essentially have a cult following.
Yeah, they definitely do.
Especially in Kent, you know.
Well, they not just that, but like we saw them play a free gig.
Oh yes.
FREE free gig in Nottingham.
But this was it was a last minute.
They were a last minute edition, and I think we were already up visiting my family that weekend.
Yeah.
And
we were already due to go down to see a Metal to the Masses anyway, and we were like,
oh, it wasn't for Metal to the Masses.
Not for Metal to the Masses?
No, it was literally just.
Well, we were just going to hang out. This happened in some room, and it's like, oh yeah, Famine just so happened to be playing that. I'm like, oh my God!
Yeah, it was really, really cool. So we hung out after that gig, and we helped them load their gear into their cars.
And you can confirm, right? loveliest blokes.
Oh yeah, they were all brilliant to talk to. We
Yeah.
had a couple of drinks as well.
Like, shout out Chris and Tom. I've known those guys so long. Chris, I remember. I mean, if we, I suppose we can share this now because it's been and gone. But in 2021, Famine were actually camped in Ironwood, despite the fact they were playing the Sophie stage. And Chris, the bass player, shout out Mr. Travers, love you if you're listening. Actually got some Jaeger cold brew from his green room and just basically brought it back to his campsite with him as I was just so happened to be passing. He's like, "Oh, there you go, Rob. Just take one of those." I kept it in my fridge for ages. And yeah, I've gone this far without actually explaining what genre they are, but they're doom metal.
Yeah, they are very.
A lot of
doomy.
influences like Cathedral and Alice in Chains is in there, I believe. Tom is a fantastic singer. He's got this very witchy quality about him. Before,
Yeah.
you know, if you're into bands like Green Lung with that kind of very witchy, warlocky type style of singing, you'll love these guys.
Yeah, for sure.
But the most important thing I think about this announcement, they're essentially opening, because I think there is one band before them, but they're opening the main stage.
Yeah, they are pretty much one of the first bands on the main stage
Which
on the
is
Friday.
Unbelievably amazing.
Yeah.
I honestly, for a guy, I've been following their career, like I said, for about 10 years. And the fact they've finally got to this point, after all the grafting, they've done tours over in mainland Europe and played so many shows in France and the Netherlands, all off their own back, you know, all without, just by their own power, shall we say.
Yeah.
I could not be happier for those guys. Like, they have worked so fucking hard to get to where they are.
Yeah.
At the moment, and I really hope they're gonna make a good impression.
Yeah, we're definitely going to be getting up early to catch them on the main stage on that Friday for sure.
Sure.
No matter how much we drink on the Thursday. So yeah,
Speaking of bands that made a good impression.
Yes, let's talk about Waterlines.
Yes.
So Waterlines have been added to Bloodstock. For anyone who was at Bloodstock 2023, and they were pretty much just playing the small Jaeger tent.
It's not even a stage, really, is it?
No,
it's just basically like a
literally
bar it's like a small, tiny tent in between the main stage and the Sophie Lancaster, which is barely big enough to fit.
Yeah, honestly, this tent was rubber.
I'd say kind of bodega size.
Yeah, I guess
maybe a bit smaller.
Yeah,
but it's kind of out in the open, really. It's just like well, I say big gazebo, it's a tiny gazebo.
Yeah, but I want to say that Waterlines were like on the last day of 23.
And we just wanted to give them a go just because there was no one else
They were incredible.
They were amazing.
They
honestly.
walked away as like one of our biggest surprises of Bloodstock, not just, you know.
Absolutely. It got our mate KB
I was
to crowd
just about
surf,
to say KB crowd surf,
which I've never seen him do. In my entire life.
Yeah, I mean, we weren't obviously vlogging Bloodstock at that time because we hadn't made this channel yet. But if anyone wants any archive footage of Bloodstock 23,
could do worse than go over to his channel. It's Kieran Benji.
Yeah, I was going to say he did vlog it actually, so we will link it below.
We'll link that below as well.
That'll just sort of give you a brief overview of our experience of Bloodstock 23.
But Waterlines, I guess the best way to describe them, I guess, sort of dance metal.
Yeah,
metalcore meets kind of early 2000s. Euro dance.
Yeah, because
it's a very weird combination.
It's a weird combination, but it bloody works.
It works.
Like, one of the vivid things I have was he was getting everyone to like link arms around the shoulders, and then he was like, jump to the left, and left. And literally, when I tell you that the whole crowd
everyone was up for it,
and was going for it. It was insane. Like that was definitely one of our highlights.
Fun party vibes. And so this probably gives you an indication of what their influences are. They released a cover which I was listening to today actually of Pretty Green Eyes and Elysium by Ultrabeat. If you remember that band.
Oh yeah.
This was a release from earlier this year, but it goes to show what sort of influences they have. They're on the Sophie.
They've been upgraded to the Sophie. So
unfortunately, they are on the Saturday, which is already massively stacked.
I'm hoping that they're not going to be clashing with someone like Harriet or Cage Fight.
Yeah.
But we'll have to wait and see.
But do yourselves a favour, if you haven't seen Waterlines yet, honestly, you will have the time of your life.
They are incredible.
They're great. Ghosts of Atlantis, who we saw supporting Fear
They
Factory,
did, and like this, they
which
were
I thought was a weird fit, to be fair,
Yeah,
because they've got a kind of fantastical, proggy kind of vibe to them.
But I really
Death
enjoyed
metal.
seeing them when we saw Fear Factory, so
Yeah.
if I've got a gap in my schedule, I'll probably go and watch Ghosts of Atlantis again.
Yeah.
But the last band that we want to talk about on the Bloodstock editions is Phoenix Lake. Now, Phoenix Lake were another band that I discovered thanks to Bloodstock 2023. And Phoenix Lake come from Nottingham. Yay! Another Nottingham band that I can talk about. And I didn't know what to expect when I saw them live at Bloodstock. They were literally first thing. I want to say they were also on the Sunday, actually. I could be completely wrong because I don't have the Clash Finder memorised in my head. But yeah, they were like first thing in the morning on the Sophie stage. They were opening it because they won I think it was Planet Rock competition to open for Sophie.
Oh, right.
So they opened the Sophie stage one day, and like I say, I think it was the final day of the festival, and like the tent was pretty full actually. To say it was first thing in the morning, and there was probably people hungover, but yeah, they've got again.
Well, it's Bloodstock, of course, there are people.
Well, yeah, but you know what I mean. Like they definitely had like their loyal crowd there for sure. And yeah, they were really really good. I don't really know how to describe them, but definitely check them out. I think they are supporting Scarlet Riot, if anybody knows who they are. I think Phoenix Lake are supporting them, like, fairly close, like, to now. So
Fairly close now.
I don't know where my words went there, but yeah, I'm very much looking forward. Again, I think they are playing on the Saturday on the Sophie, so they're playing the Sophie stage again, so...
Go to Bloodstock website for more details.
Yes, of course. So yeah, some more news that we want to discuss that's been happening recently. There's been a lot of show announcements and gig announcements, and some of which we've got our eye on, some of which we haven't got tickets quite yet for.
Some of which we probably can't afford to get tickets for.
I'm looking at you, Lincoln Park at Wembley.
Yes.
I would love to do that show, but I feel like their tickets are going to be so expensive.
Well, there's a friend of mine who's even considering going over to Berlin for it. I would love to see Lincoln Park at some point, but
yeah.
I just...
Yeah,
I'll rather wait till they're on at Download or Headline.
yeah. I
Download
think
or
that
something like
I think that they could headline Download in 2026. But anyway, we'll talk more about Lincoln Park later.
Yeah. Well, in addition to that, we've
Yes.
got as of recently, Deftones announced a huge headline show with Weezer supporting
And High Vis, right?
and High Vis,
Yeah.
which is unbelievable cool. I'll talk more about High Vis momentarily, but. Yeah, Crystal Palace Park, which is not the easiest venue to get to in London. It's south of the river, and yeah, it's just going to be a bit of a nightmare.
Yeah.
But I love Deftones to death. I really would love to see him again. I really want you to see him at a proper Deftones show rather than at a festival.
Than at Download, yeah. Well, it's going to have that sort of festival feel, isn't it? Because it's in a park. It's not in an arena or venue.
So I was seriously considering doing that, but tickets sold out instantaneously.
Yeah. It's a couple of weeks after Download, so like feasibly we were thinking, well, if we go to Download, we probably can't afford to do this as well, and yeah.
I might just go myself if I can afford. Because I love Deftones that much, and also, I mean, we love Weezer as well, don't we?
Yeah, but I think the fact that Weezer are at Download is kind of making me think, I can see them at Download.
Catch them there, yeah.
So I don't know. Like, we'll see if we can get anything on resale a little bit closer to the time. But I think, the fact that we didn't go for them immediately kind of gives you the impression of how we're feeling about getting those tickets. Yeah. So another sort of show that was announced and I think is already sold out as well.
Yeah,
if I'm not mistaken.
This is sold out as well. It's Incubus at the O2 performing Morning View in its entirety, which is one of my favourite albums from the early millennium. Great band, Incubus. Hugely dynamic band. They have a bit of nu metal in there, bit of alt rock. Brandon Boyd, I think, has got a fantastic voice, and I think Mike is a fantastic guitar player as well. Never seen them, and I get the impression they're one of those bands that very rarely come over to the UK.
I would have thought so, just because like they're only doing 2 shows in the UK.
Yeah.
Like I'm so low key. I'm not the biggest Incubus fan. Like I've listened to that album and it's a great album, but I don't know if I'd have gone out of my way.
You wouldn't go out your way.
So I said to Rob, I was like, if you want to get tickets, you get them for yourself. Like I'm not that fussed to go and see them.
Well, I do like that band. That's one band on my bucket list, I guess, for next year.
Yeah.
But yeah, sold out, so I guess we'll have to wait till
You're
resale.
going to have to wait till resale. But we've got a lot of gigs already booked in for next year, and we'll probably discuss that at the end of year podcast.
And one gig we did have booked in.
Yeah.
just a segue. Let's get the elephant in the room out the way straight away. We did say we were going to go to Alien Ant Farm and CKY this weekend after Fit for an Autopsy.
Yeah, it would have been this Sunday as we're recording.
No doubt you probably would have heard circumstances of a violent nature kind of got in the way.
Yeah.
In that Chad Ginsberg, the frontman of CKY, punched the Alien Ant Farm's frontman in the face.
Yep.
And so CKY got thrown off the tour.
Yeah. So I can't remember who has actually replaced CKY. But
it's In Me, I believe.
Oh, yeah, that's it. Yeah,
which
is
another Trees staple, I guess.
Yeah.
In British all rock act. Fair play for Alien Ant Farm for getting firstly for doing something about it, right?
Yeah, rather than sticking it out.
Rather than sticking it out, because I mean I'm a big CKY fan. But, you know, you can't really defend that sort of behaviour, can you? Especially when you've got to be professional and you're touring for, you know, quite a long time. Obviously, no tour is probably perfect. You know, I'm sure that there's been many a time where friends have toured together in their own individual bands and there's been some rift about something. That could be a good topic for another podcast. One of the best fights on stage you've ever seen. It just feels like this year there's been a lot of that. Like, you know, Perry Farrell and Dave Navarro having a scrap on stage. It's like, maybe just touring is just getting to older bands now.
Maybe.
But like, you know, they put out Alien Ant Farm a very professional statement saying, you know, this is why we've cut them loose. If you want a refund, you can get a refund.
Yeah.
We actually managed to sell our tickets, to be fair, which, thank you, Twickets. That was very quick and very efficient.
Yeah, I was going to say, definitely use Twickets if you're thinking about selling any tickets of any nature.
Well, I kind of don't feel as bad either, because if I'd have gone for a refund instead of selling them, I would have felt worse than if I'd have sold them, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I know that my tickets are going to go to someone who really loves Alien Ant Farm.
We actually got an email from the guy, didn't we, who bought them off us.
And he emailed me back saying, oh my god, you're a lifesaver, I'm so excited.
And it's kind of worked in our favour as well. If you'd have seen, obviously, the download reaction, both of those bands are at download.
Well, for now, I mean...
Well, you've just got to think of it like that.
I mean, if CKY is still a thing by next year, I'll be astonished, quite frankly. But, you know, they've always been a band that drama is sort of part of their genetic makeup in a way.
Yeah.
You know? By definition, I mean, you know, their drummer is Jess Margera, who's Bam Margera's brother. And, I mean, there's enough drama connected with that family as it is. So, yeah, it's a real shame, really, that we had to let those tickets go. But I think in the long run, it's probably for the best.
Yeah, for sure. So, we are still going to Fit for an Autopsy. That's this Friday.
That's this Friday at the time of recording.
I'm still very excited for that show.
Massively. So, on the bill for that show, it's like you say, it's the first gig of the UK tour of that run for Fit for an Autopsy.
Yes.
And we have Harriet opening.
Yes.
Followed by Darkest Hour, who I've never seen, but they are really part of that first wave of American heavy metal in the early 2000s, along with Killswitch and Lamb of God and all these bands.
Yeah.
You know, super stoked on that. And then Silosis.
Yeah, who we've seen a couple of times now, I think, and they are phenomenal. So
brilliant.
Obviously, there will be a vlog sort of documenting our adventures on that gig.
And I love the fact as well, just to interject quickly, that Josh has left Architects to do Silosis full time.
That's right.
Because there was a point where I thought I'd never see Silosis because Josh was always doing Architects stuff. And the fact I've already managed to see them once, and they're just fantastic band, you know, proper metal. Fit for an Autopsy we saw at
Bloodstock.
Bloodstock.
Very briefly.
Yes.
But we've actually recently listened to their latest record, and it's really
it's
good.
very good. It's ripping. Breakdowns galore,
Yeah.
honestly.
So very much excited for this one.
Deathcore I kind of blow hot and cold with. Again, like I'm very, very particular with my deathcore. And the fact that these lot have a kind of... Well, for one thing, they have clean vocals, which is very rare in deathcore on certain songs. But they also have like a real groovy element to it, and, you know... I guess it's the heavier side of metalcore, bordering on deathcore. Really, is how I would best describe them. But that's just going to be a really intense, heavy show. Yeah. We're going to Electric Brixton, which
we've been there once.
Yeah, we saw Nova Twins.
Yes, it's going to be a good gig though. So look forward to the vlog of that.
Yep,
probably in the next week or so. And obviously, it's our penultimate gig as well. We should mention that. It's the penultimate gig for this year for us.
For now. I mean, we could squeeze in a couple more.
Well, maybe not me. I'm too busy, but maybe you can. So yeah, it's probably going to be our penultimate gig vlog for the year, I would say, in terms of big gigs. Obviously, we've also got Slipknot next month.
We are seeing Slipknot in Birmingham.
I'm very, very excited for that.
On their the anniversary tour for their self-titled debut album.
And Bleed From Within are supporting. So.
Oh, that's going to be mad. That's going to be mad. Right, we're going to press on because we have a few more topics to get through.
Yeah, we're going to talk about some albums now.
Yes. So, first things first. I want to do a spotlight on an album which currently sits at the top of my album of the year list, and I don't think it's going to be dethroned. And it's Guided Tour by High Vis. High Vis are just incredible. They are everything I was hoping for in an up-and-coming British band. They basically take all the best influences of British rock music over the last 40 years, I guess. They have the jangly sort of guitar sounds of post-punk from Britain, like The Cure. They have Britpop elements from the 90s. And they've got, early 2000s UK garage, even, in their sound. On this album, on Mind's a Lie, which is an incredible song. I just... Go and listen to it, people, really. I can't stress this enough. They're an incredible band. Graham is a lovely, lovely bloke. Met him at the Angel Dust gig. He told me the first single from this album was going to be a mixture of the Cocteau Twins and UK Garage, and that ended up being Mind's a Lie, so he wasn't lying. You know. Just lovely guys. Met them a few times. Went to their album release party for Blending at
which was their last album.
Yeah, Rough Trade in East London. And obviously as a hardcore band, I love it when hardcore bands bring something new to the table.
Yeah, and High Vis are definitely one of those
bands. And they are definitely one of those bands. And I just think Guided Tour is an incredible album, and I urge you all to check it out.
Yeah, and they will be also touring with that album in February.
And I really want to go, but I feel like we might have plans. Now we've got the album that you want to talk about, which isn't actually out yet, but I feel like you're going to have a lot to say about this.
Yeah, so... as of yesterday, or even today, I think it was yesterday. So yeah, Spiritbox have finally announced their follow-up studio album to Eternal Blue, which, believe it or not, came out 3 years ago, which is crazy.
3 years ago?
Yeah. And where that album has taken this band is incredible. So
well, it's lit a rocket under their arse.
Quite literally. So yeah, the album is called Tsunami Sea. And as I say, this album is the follow-up to Eternal Blue, which in 2021 was one of my favourite albums, and it still is very high up the list of albums from that year, and just in general, I guess. So it's coming out on March 7th, but they released this week the sort of new single off of that. So they released Soft Spine, which came out a few weeks ago.
And is that going to be
and
on
that is going to be on the album, yes. And this one, the latest single is called Perfect Soul, and it is incredible. I love it. It kind of reminds me of, if any of you old school Spiritbox folks out there, it really reminds me of sort of the first EP that they put out. I'm thinking Blessed Be vibes with this one. You know, there's a lot more clean vocals from Courtney on this one.
It reminded me a bit of Constance, I guess.
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah,
it was quite ethereal. This one, a bit Deftonesy in parts.
Yeah,
it's very hard to not compare a band that's doing the atmospheric, ethereal, technical, genty guitar groove stuff to Deftones.
But they are a massive influence on that genre.
I think Courtney herself would admit. Right?
Oh, yeah, for sure. But yeah, I'm very much excited for this album. I can pretty much already envision it being very high, if not at the top of my albums of the year list for next year. No bias whatsoever, I'm sure. But yeah, another band that have announced, well, we don't know for sure the release date yet, but one that we are very eagerly awaiting more news on is the upcoming Killswitch album.
Yeah, that's right. At the time of recording, there hasn't actually been a release date for this, and also the first single was due to come out tonight, and we haven't listened to it, so we don't know if it's going to be any good or not. Nonetheless, though, we are super stoked.
Yes.
The new album is called This Consequence. It's scheduled to go out early 2025 on Metal Blade.
Yes.
I mean, you guys, I'm sure I've gushed about how big of a Killswitch Engage fan I am. We met the guys at Bloodstock last year. I got to tell Jesse how much his lyrics meant to me, and he gave me a huge hug, which made my life.
And it was Rob's 30th birthday last year as well.
Oh yeah, this is incredible.
And for his 30th birthday, I actually got Jesse to film a cameo for Rob.
And I was genuinely, you played it to me in a hotel room in Edinburgh, and I was genuinely taken aback and shocked.
Yeah, so it lives on a memory stick now.
It lives on a memory stick.
Although I've got many copies of it, but
well,
I gave you a memory stick.
It lives in a memory stick in my head as well.
Yes,
that was.
But really we are very, very excited for the new Killswitch album. Hopefully, the single lives up to the hype.
Absolutely. I mean, so I first saw Killswitch at Download 2016, I believe. I really only properly got into Killswitch, I guess, post-uni.
Yeah.
I was aware of My Last Serenade and End of Hike and songs like that. But
Holy Diver as well.
Holy Diver.
Knows that song.
It wasn't until I started doing freelance work for the BBC, where I'd have these long commutes, where I really started to get into albums like As Daylight Dies and Alive or Just Breathing, which are two of my all-time favourite albums. They're a band that has genuinely got me through a lot of shit, in the past. I think their headline set at Bloodstock was absolutely incredible.
Yeah. And that was my first time seeing a live Killswitch
You want to
show.
talk about set lists, which I think are some of the best set lists I've ever seen. They played Element of One, which is a song it's such a rarity, because Jesse hates singing it by his own admission. But it's one of my favourite, if not my favourite, Killswitch songs, and I cried, or nearly cried anyway. I don't know what I'm hoping for this album, really. I'm just hoping that I think the last really great Killswitch album was probably Disarm the Descent for me. I think Incarnate had its moments. I feel like a lot of it felt a bit disjointed to me. And then I remember, I think for Atonement, I think there were singles were very strange choices.
Yeah.
I think there were better songs on that album that merited singles, apart from Signal Fire, obviously, which is a tune.
That's great.
Undeniably. I'm hoping for an album with the quality of Disarm the Descent again. I don't know. I mean, since in the period in between Atonement and this new album, Adam and Jesse have done Times of Grace again.
Yes.
Which I thought was a fantastic second album for them. So whether those sort of post-metal influences might bleed into this new record remains to be seen. Whether we're just going to get a straight-up rocking metalcore Killswitch record. I'm hoping it's just not going to be too... I'm hoping they're not going to fall into the pitfall of other big, massive metalcore acts where they make it too radio-friendly. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I want blood from Jesse's vocals on this,
Well, we're going to have to just wait and see.
We're going to have to wait and see what this bloody single is going to be like.
Yes.
And by the time we release this, it will have probably been out, and I would have,
Well, that'll be for the next podcast,
that'll be for the next podcast.
So, the last thing we want to do before we sort of do a fun little closer to the podcast Rob has been listening to a lot of albums recently.
A lot of albums.
And I'm slowly catching up myself, just in terms of like albums that have come out this year that I just, for one reason or another, I just haven't got to yet. But Rob has decided to come up with 3-word reviews for a few albums.
I just thought, to save you the hassle and the bore of doing comprehensive reviews of each album like I did with the High Vis one.
Yeah.
I will just do 3-word reviews, and then you can make your own judgment as to whether to go and seek them out or not. So, in no particular order, I listened to Better Lovers, which is Greg Puciato's side project along with the members of Every Time I Die. I've put chaotic, sludgy, hardcore. So if you like any of those elements, then that is for you. Vola, genty, good vocals.
Sure.
Yeah.
I've not listened to that album yet, so...
Prog metal, gent, they're from Denmark. I thought, atmosphere was good. So I've just put genty, good vocals. Touche Amore. Sounds like Touche. So if you're into Touche Amore, then you'll no doubt love this record. Cane Hill. Different, but decent. So if you don't know Cane Hill, they... I would say they're a nu metal band, but hence why I've put different but decent. They've kind of moved along their style into a more kind of modern nu metalcore type sound. Very atmospheric and pop bleepity bloopity type influences coming in. Whereas, it's a far cry from Too Far Gone, where it's very Korn-esque and Deftones-esque and bit of Slipknot in there. Those influences seem to have almost been eradicated from this new album, but I still think it's a good album. Jerry Cantrell, I had 2 for this one. The first was just Jerry. And then the one I've settled on is Alice sounding alt-metal, which I am counting as one word.
Yeah, alright, we'll give you that one.
So guitar player, songwriter from Alice in Chains has put out a record that sounds like Alice in Chains, but a bit more metal. So, Kelsey Priest. AWOL. 3 words for this one. Speed version 2. So, Australian hardcore. You like that kind of stuff, you'll love that. Make Them Suffer. Epitaph. Nuff said.
Yeah. Yeah, if we want to talk about albums that are incredible in more than 3 words, this album is it.
Well, if we want to talk about singles that are incredible, Epitaph.
Enough said.
We'll eventually, near the end of the year, get down to our albums of the year, songs of the year.
Yeah, all that stuff. But let's just say, Rob kind of gave a heads up as to what his current album is at the top of his list.
Yes.
Make Them Suffer is currently at the top of mine.
Your list. So
yes.
There we go. Linkin Park, which I guess is the main big album that's come out recently.
Yeah, recently, for sure.
I've just put decent comeback effort.
Yeah, I agree with you. Like, the singles were solid. There was a couple of tracks on there that weren't singles that were really good, but then there was some that were like,
Castaway, is that one of the... Is it called Castaway?
No, there's...
Cutaway.
There's Casualty. And then
Casualty.
Casualty is like one of the ones that a lot of
very
fans are loving.
That's their... It's sort of, I guess, their heavy effort, I guess. Lots of screamy vocals and stuff on that one.
Yeah. Casualty's really good. I also really like Two-Face.
Heavy as the Crown.
Heavy as the Crown. Emptiness Machine, obviously.
So yeah, there's some good songs in there.
There are some good stuff, but...
Obviously, it's no Meteora, but, what is?
Yeah, exactly.
You know what I mean? And finally, Kublai Khan, TX, who we are seeing at Bloodstock next year. Dumb, fun, hardcore. I think you can't really get much more
it was
than that.
Let's just say this: we put the album on in a 20-minute drive.
Yes, it's very short.
It's very short, but we were literally driving home from the shops and we put it on.
And then I had to resist the urge to flail my limbs about and knock Laura out onto the steering wheel.
Because I was the one driving.
Yes. Well then, that concludes my 3-word reviews for this month. If you like that segment, I'll keep it going, I guess.
Yeah. Well,
maybe come up with a jingle for it.
Well, I'm thinking that obviously, next month will be kind of like our end of year one. But maybe from January, like, we can both start doing this sort of thing.
I'd love for you to get involved in this.
Yeah, it could be something
fun.
that we could definitely alternate. And it doesn't have to be newer albums as well.
No.
We can maybe look at doing that for other albums from the past that we've never listened to.
Good shout. Let's so keep an eye out for those. Right, so we come to the end, and
I can't wait for this.
You can't wait for this. I have no idea what Laura's come up with for this, but apparently it's a new game.
Well,
I guess
it's not a game; it's more of a quiz.
Oh.
I like making quizzes, right?
Okay.
So when I used to like spend obviously Christmas at my parents' on Christmas Day, basically I would make like a quiz and I'd make like a full-on PowerPoint presentation and I'd have like a clip show and stuff. Don't worry, I've not gone to that extreme today. I didn't have time. I literally came up with this afternoon whilst I didn't have much work on. But maybe in the future we will have a proper full-on PowerPoint presentation with a clip show and all that stuff.
So this is a quiz for me.
So this is a quiz for you.
All right.
So what I decided to do was all of these are based on stats from Setlist FM, unless I tell you.
Okie dokie.
And what I decided to do was just come up with a few questions about the download headliners. I thought I'd be pretty thematic, and since we had the download announcement recently. So I've come up with a few questions for each band. So Green Day, Sleep Token and Korn. And I guess you guys at home can play along as well.
Now, can I just say before we start, I'm going to be useless when it comes to Sleep Token.
Well, I sadly don't have any multiple choice options, but I'm hoping that the questions aren't too hard. Like, I'm not a super fan of Sleep Token myself either, but
Right.
you know.
Okay, so take it away. What should we call this segment? Something?
Laura's
Quiz.
Laura's Quiz.
Welcome to Laura's Quiz.
Welcome to Laura's
Yay.
Quiz. So, as I say, all of these stats are based on Setlist FM. So, if their website is wrong, then I'm wrong. But I don't think Setlist FM will be wrong. So, you know, I don't think this is wrong. So, we will start off with Green Day, who are going to be the Friday headliners of Download. Tell me, Beb.
Yes.
Where in the UK was Green Day's first ever gig?
Oh, God. I'll tell you what, Sam is going to kill me if I get this wrong.
Yeah.
First ever
Their
gig.
first ever gig in the UK.
Well, I'm going to assume that their first ever gig in the UK probably didn't happen until about 1994. I mean, I've got no idea.
No?
No, I'm sorry, Sam. You're probably screaming.
I was going to say, so...
He's probably screaming at the...
So, for anyone who doesn't know, Rob is in a Green Day tribute band.
Yes.
And the frontman, a.k.a. the Billy Joe, is a massive Green Day fan.
You will have seen him in our Green Day vlog, if you haven't seen that already, in our Cold Years vlog. Sam is the biggest Green Day anorak on the planet. He will definitely know this.
So he will definitely know this. So
I have got no idea.
You have no idea.
I'm just going to plump, because they might have come over as part of a festival. I'm going to go Reading.
No. And you were also not too far away with the year, actually. So, Green Day's first gig, which, according to Setlist FM, was in Huddersfield.
Really?
Yes. And it was on the 9th of December in 1991.
Now, Huddersfield, does that mean they were doing a warm-up gig before playing Leeds?
No, because it was in December.
Oh, right, okay.
So, it was not. But yes, that is what Setlist FM has down as their first ever gig in the UK.
Fair enough.
Which is crazy, right?
All right.
Okay, so we're sticking with this sort of theme with Green Day tours.
Yes.
So, what year was the last time that Green Day played in Wales, specifically?
Oh, my God.
And I was quite surprised when I saw
Wales?
this. Yeah, I was quite surprised when I saw this.
I mean...
So shout out to all the Welshies who love Green Day.
Now, I've got two answers in my head.
Go on.
They did the last time I think they did a properly massive... Well, apart from this one that's just gone, but I know they didn't play Wales, this most recent tour, I believe. The last time they did a proper massive world tour, I think, was for 21st Century Breakdown, I think. So I'm just going to I'm going to say 2010.
No, you are incorrect.
Ah!
So, the last time...
Was it for the trilogy?
No. The last time that Green Day apparently played in Wales, according to Setlist FM, was in 2005.
Really?
Yes. So it was in 2005, and it was at the Cardiff International Arena, which is now known as the Utilita Arena.
So
in
you're
Cardiff.
telling me that Welsh Green Day fans would have...
They have to travel to other parts
They
of
would
the
have
UK.
They would have grown up and had kids probably before potentially seeing them again.
Green Day in their own
soil.
Welsh soil, and this was part of the American Idiot World Tour.
Of course, yeah.
So that was the last time that they played in Wales.
Well, I'm so sorry to all you Welsh Green Day fans out there.
It's crazy. Right, one more question about Green Day, and then we're moving on to
One more question
Token.
I'm not going to know, but go on.
Right, well, I'm giving you some leeway with this one, because this is a number sort of answer.
Okay.
So, according to greenday.fm, how many physical sales does Dookie and American Idiot have in total? And I will let you have this to the nearest 250,000.
Oh my god, both of them together?
Yes, because basically, obviously, this year we celebrated the anniversary
Yeah.
of both albums. Obviously, we saw them this year, play both albums in full. So I thought I would give a little question.
Well, Dookie recently went Diamond Platinum, I believe, which is a very rare feat for any rock band. Which Diamond, I mean,
now, as I say, this is according to this specific website.
So Platinum is 1 million sales, I believe. So if it's Diamond Platinum,
I like this logic, I will
I'm
say.
going to say...
Like I say, I'm giving you leeway to the nearest 250,000.
Nearest 250,000, right.
Yes.
So this is
So,
Dookie
for example,
and American
Dookie
Idiot.
and American Idiot. So, for example, if you was to say 25 million, and the actual answer was like 25.25...
Sure.
You know.
Right, I'm also going to assume that American Idiot has at least gone platinum, or multi-platinum.
I mean, it's one of the best albums in our
It
generation.
really is. But yeah, the fact that Dookie's gone Diamond Platinum, I'd say that's probably about... I want to say that's about 20 million or something.
Right.
So I'm going to say 40 million.
You've overshot it a little bit,
Ah.
I will say. So, according to this website, 36,250,000.
Oh, come on, I wasn't that far away.
I
was
said to the nearest 250,000. That is many 250,000 away.
Well, there's only 4 million out.
That's why I said you overshot it a little bit.
Let me buy 4 million copies of Dookie and American Idiot.
And then get that website updated. So,
Lads,
those are your
you're out. Leon, Dan, Sam, get on it. Make me right.
Buy all of them. Right, so that was your Green Day
That was my
section.
green. Oh, I botched that. Then.
You can't. Yeah.
That should have been my specialist subject.
I'm hoping that some of these other questions I have are a little bit easier and you'll get them.
Right, go on then.
So we're going to move on to Sleep Token now. So again, I've got 3 questions about Sleep Token. One of them I'm very keen to hear your answer, but we'll see. So the first question I have is, according to Setlist FM, which country in the UK has Sleep Token never played in?
In the UK?
In the UK specifically.
I hope it's not Wales again. Northern Ireland.
There you go.
Yes!
Ding ding. Sleep Token have never played in Northern Ireland.
There you go.
Or Republic of Ireland, actually.
Yeah, the British Isles.
The British Isles, but
Yes.
obviously Northern Ireland is part
Is
of
part of the UK.
Yes.
Right.
Right. Second question. Again, thank you Setlist FM for having such a great sort of data source for all of this stuff. So, in the early days of Sleep Token actually did include covers in their sets. Which song have they covered the most? And it's a very, very weird answer, this. I was like, what?
Which song have they covered the most?
Yeah, they've covered this song.
Can you give me a clue?
Yeah, so this song is not in the rock and metal genre.
I didn't think it would be.
No. So, as I say, this was in the early days of Sleep Token. They played this song a total of 8 times live. And yeah, it's not in the rock and metal genre.
Is it going to be because...
And I will say, if there's any hardcore Sleep Token fans out there, there's like full Reddit pages about why they did this.
Oh, I bet there is.
I had a look.
Their fans are mental, aren't
Yeah.
they? Right, so I'm going to say it's something like heavily auto-tuned pop
No.
type.
I
No?
can give you that one for free. It's not that.
Really?
Yeah.
But it's also not in the rock and metal.
It's not in rock and metal. This song
Is
was...
it a rap song?
Kinda. It was quite big in our childhood, I would say, this song. It was everywhere.
It was... Okay, so kind of rap song that was everywhere.
Yeah. It was definitely on the radio.
British band?
No.
Okay, American kind of rap. Early 2000s.
You'll kick yourself when.
Am I going down the wrong
No,
path?
no. You'll kick yourself if you give up and I tell you what song it is. Because it's definitely a song that everybody knows.
It's not like Riding Dirty.
No.
Oh, I don't know, Bev. I don't know.
Okay, so it was Hey Ya by Outkast.
Oh, you know what? I have actually heard this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They did cover that in their early days. Safe to say that's fizzled out of their sets now.
Yeah, I can't. Yeah, I can't really visualize them doing that.
Well, there's someone who's actually got the version of it on YouTube because it's not on Spotify.
Right.
So.
Okay.
And then the final question in the Sleep Token. Yes. So, The Offering is their most played song in their sets. But how many listens does it currently have on Spotify as of this afternoon when I wrote this quiz?
Oh.
I will give you to the nearest million.
Well.
So The Offering, for anyone who doesn't know, was on their 2019 album.
I don't think it's their most played song on Spotify though.
Well,
I think that's Chokehold. So I'm gonna say it's the nearest million.
I will give you to the nearest million on this one, but I do have the precise answer.
I'm gonna say
this afternoon on my phone.
I'm gonna say 32,500,000.
It's higher than that, but good effort, I will say. So as of this afternoon when I wrote this, The Offering has 46,742,383 listens.
Yeah.
It has probably gone up another million in the space of...
It's quite I mean, I don't know if I mentioned this right, but like, I knew about Sleep Token when they released like those first two EPs. They had songs like Nazareth, which barely scraped, a few thousand listens. And now to see where they are now, it's just insane.
But I think you are right. The Offering is definitely not their most played song of their whole discography, but it's the most played song in sets. So,
I'm liking these questions, even though I'm really crap at this.
You've got 1 out of 6 so far. So now,
but I was close with the number.
You were close, yeah.
Go on.
But now we're going to move on to the final part of the quiz, which is all about Korn. So I've got 3 songs about 3 songs. I've got 3 questions about Korn. Question number 1. Not including Monsters of Rock, how many times have Korn played Download? Not including next year as well.
Oh, Jesus.
And I've got the years written down as well.
So Download started in 2003, right? Because they had a big anniversary last year. So 2003, they weren't really doing any... I'm going to say they played... right, okay, so let's think about this. There's one year they definitely played where I believe Jonathan Davis was ill and they had to get a bunch of people to sing for them. So that's at least one. But I can't remember what year that was.
I have all the years written down on my phone.
They performed in 2016 because I was there and I saw it and it was wet as fuck. They were there They were there another year which was a lot brighter. 20. I don't think they were there 2012. 2004. You know what? I'm just going to go for a random guess. 7.
Oh, you're 1 out. They've played Download 8 times.
Oh.
So not including Monsters of Rock, because they did play in Monsters of Rock one year, I believe. So they played in 2004. That was their first Download. Then 2006, 2007, 2009, 2011, 2013, 2016, which obviously you said you were there, and most recently 2022.
Yeah.
So it'll be 9 times, including the headline set for next.
Fair
festival.
play, Korn. Fair play.
Yeah. All right. My next question about Korn: which song helped Korn land their first ever Grammy Award?
Oh, Grammy Award.
Grammy Award win. I should be specific, because they had they were nominated before.
I think I know this.
Yeah.
Is it Got the Life?
No.
Oh!
It's not Got the Life.
Is it from Follow the Leader though?
It is from Follow the Leader.
Freak on a Leash.
Yes.
Oh.
Freak on a Leash, and that was in 2000, and it was for the best short form music video.
There you go.
So there you go.
Oh, that makes it. Yeah, it's the video. Yeah.
Yeah. So that was their first ever Grammy Award, and I can't remember what their second one was, but they have 2 Grammys.
I'm very sorry, everyone, that I'm letting everyone down. There's too many number-based questions.
I know, but I like numbers.
No,
so.
yeah, I know.
Right,
I'm really bad at numbers.
Well, this last one is not a numbers question. It's a video game question, in essence.
Oh, hello.
Yeah.
All right.
So, Korn created a song that was exclusively made for which 2008 video game release? And it is that exclusive. The song doesn't even exist on Spotify. You can only listen to it on YouTube.
2008.
2008.
Well, I know Jonathan Davis is a huge gaming nerd.
Yes.
He actually has his own Xbox with him on tour, I believe,
Yeah.
whenever he tours.
Yeah.
So I'm going to assume it's an Xbox game.
It is not.
It's not.
It is not for the Xbox.
It's not for the... Okay.
No. I'll
So
also...
I've even got that wrong.
I'll even give you this little tidbit as well. When I was researching for this, I was like, I didn't even realise that was a thing.
Is it a well-known game?
Define well-known.
Well,
like, it's well-known in the
Did it have
game world.
Did it have a lot of sales? Like, was it
No.
very... Okay, so it's quite niche.
It's quite a niche thing, but it's well-known in the video game world because of that reason, I guess.
Is it a Japanese company?
No.
Oh, I need more clues then. I really do. I've
Well,
got no idea.
well, you've already established that it's not on the Xbox.
2008.
So what other platforms was around
PC.
in 2008?
PC?
It's not-
PS3?
It's a PS3 game.
PS3 game.
Yep,
From 2008.
2008.
See, I didn't have a PS3 in 2008. I had an Xbox. So,
Okay, I'll give you a few more clues. So, this game was developed by a company called Free Radical Design, and it was actually published by Ubisoft as well.
I know that name. Now, Ubisoft, 2008. I'm immediately thinking Assassin's Creed. Is it Assassin's Creed 3?
No.
2?
No. It's not Assassin's Creed.
It's not Assassin's Creed. Okay,
No.
I don't know.
And funnily enough, I do actually know the writer of this game, because this writer actually came and did a talk at my uni.
Did you ask him why didn't you put that
No,
Korn song on?
I did not.
What is it?
So, the game is called Haze. This is the front cover of Haze.
See, I recognise the cover. It's
Yeah.
it's basically a guy with a broken
It's a broken
helmet.
yellow helmet.
broken yellow helmet holding
With
a
a
gun
gun.
in the air. I recognised the cover. I would
So
never
yeah,
have got
it
that
was
in a
it
million
was
years.
it was a first-person shooter game, and it was released in the UK in 2008. But yeah, the reception was not great.
To be fair, right, there was a period where every video game, just to digress slightly, that was that period where most video games had like a kind of first-person close-up of like a person's face.
Yeah.
Because there was that, and then there was the game which... What was the game with the guy... It had the bandana of like the Korean flag over his eyes.
Oh, I don't know.
Not Homefront. Is it called Homefront?
There
or
is a
something?
Homefront game, but that was after this.
And it was like... It had like Ghost Inside on the soundtrack and stuff.
Mm.
And then there's like... one of the Fallout games had just a front close-up of a guy like in... body armor and stuff.
Yeah.
There just seemed to be a niche of that sort of thing at that time.
So this kind of came out in a world where some media sources were deeming it as the Halo killer, as in like the game that would be better than Halo.
Unfortunately, that didn't
really work out. No, so the game.
Do you remember when Killzone was a thing, and they were saying that was gonna?
Oh, but Killzone was good.
It didn't last very long, though, did it?
No, but I think Killzone 2 or 3 was like the best one.
So we are massively digressing here. What's the song called?
Yeah, the song was literally just called Haze.
Oh, right, okay.
For a game called
But
Haze.
it's not on Spotify.
It's not on Spotify. You have to actually go and listen to it on YouTube.
All right.
So it says here it was released as a digital single on April the 22nd, 2008. The game then released the month later. And it said here that Korn posted a blog entry about it in 2008, stating that those who purchased their untitled album would be able to download it as a free MP3.
All right.
And yeah.
Playing on Zune, supposedly. Or,
Yeah.
or iPod Touch.
But yeah,
No, were iPod Touches even a thing in 2008?
I don't know.
I poured shuffle.
Yeah, probably.
Right, well, no, thank you for that, Ben. That was a great quiz.
I like making quizzes.
I am very sorry that I let everyone down out there.
Especially on the Green Day
I think
section.
I only got one question right, and that was name a country that's
Name a country that sleep.
that's in the UK.
Name the country in the UK that Sleep Token have never played.
To be fair, right.
You were close with some of them.
If you'd have given me Green Day questions that were like, what is this track on this album? Or
well, okay, I can give you a bonus question before we close out the podcast for the week, because I do for the month, because I do remember reading up this stat and I did have it written down. So according to Setlist FM, which song of Green Day's have they played the most
ever?
Longview. Damn it, he knew that one.
No, I do know.
You do know that one.
Yeah.
See, I just clearly needed to give you questions like that, but then it'd have been too easy.
Yeah. I loved doing a little stalk on Setlist FM to see, stats and things about songs.
That's
one of my favourite That's one of my favourite pastimes,
Yeah, there's definitely some like really niche questions that I could do for not just the headliners of like download, but I could definitely do them for like just any band.
Yeah, I'd love to have more.
Yeah, I do like making quizzes.
Okay, we're going to call it there for episode 3 of the Alt Pulse podcast.
Yes.
Thank you everyone, as always, for listening. Don't forget to make sure to like and subscribe, as they all say.
Yes, as they all say. And yeah, coming up on the channel, obviously we'll have our gig vlog from Fit for an Autopsy coming up. We'll also have our gig vlog next month for Slipknot. And we'll have another podcast like this in a few weeks' time, where we sort of do an end-of-year roundup of things.
Yeah, and maybe a nice little rundown of our favourite albums of the year, favourite songs of the year. So yeah, just stay tuned for that.
Yeah.
All that's left to say is I'm Rob.
And I'm Laura.
And we will see you down the line somewhere else.